Excellent. I'm going to share my screen and get this presentation started. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to minimize that. All right. So thank you guys for being here tonight to hear about communicating online with confidence. And this is something that's been kind of a passion project of mine for quite a while. A couple of years ago, I wrote an article for Inessa's blog, and that's kind of how we first connected. And it's something I've been thinking about for quite a while. So I'm really happy to be here tonight to present it to you guys. So I want you guys to ask yourself if any of these things describe you as a dog trainer or just a person. You're stressed out about how COVID-19 is affecting business. It's hard not to be. It's a weird time. We are learning how to deal with all of it, but that's a pretty common thing these days. You don't feel comfortable presenting yourself online, whether that's through Zoom meetings or videos that you're making for clients, that sort of thing. You want to feel great about your client interactions. I think all of us do, right? We want to feel good about what we say and what we do with them. And you want to earn more by presenting your image that people really love and trust. And portraying that confidence is key to all of this in bringing yourself not only online, but also kind of my favorite thing about this is that all of these skills will benefit you in person as well as online. So it's a great time to develop those skills. So a couple of things that we won't be covering in this webinar that this webinar isn't intended to do, and that's going to be a solution to all client problems. Humans are complicated, and part of the reason for that is that I don't have a magic wand, right? And we always wish as dog trainers, we joke about, you know, sorry, I forgot my magic wand today. And that is true when you're dealing with other humans, probably even more so. This is not a how-to offer online classes as far as the technical details of how Zoom works, how you can set those classes up. There are some really great courses from the Modern Dog Trainer that you can check out after this webinar if that's what you're really interested in, is kind of the technical details of offering an online class. And unfortunately, it isn't about always loving all your clients all the time. As I said, humans are complicated and fallible, and we can't always love everyone at every moment, but we're always going to be working toward enjoying them more and not letting them affect your personal quality of life. So during this webinar, I promise that I'm going to deliver as much valuable information to you as I can. I'm going to try to keep it within 45 minutes. Like I said earlier, I do have a lot of information that I'm excited to share with you guys. So, but I will try to keep it to our time limit because I know your time is valuable. And I will teach you how to evaluate your communication skills and look at what you are already doing and some of these things you may be doing, some of these things you can add in, and all of these things will help you get more success with your clients. And I promise to be honest and realistic with you guys. We're all humans, and we're going to talk about that even more, but that's always something that I strive to do with every interaction I have with people. So a couple of things that I ask of you as we're going through this: to keep an open mind about the new information you're going to learn. It's always a good way to start off a learning experience. And be forgiving of yourself for things that haven't gone so well in the past, because everyone has had those client interactions that kind of felt icky afterwards. And that's why we're working on these things, because it doesn't always go perfectly, and we want to be able to learn from that. And recognize that we all have room for improvement. This is not about reaching a specific destination. It's about the journey that you take to get there, and that we're always trying to improve ourselves and learn how to communicate more effectively. A couple of tips for watching this webinar. Hopefully for those of you who are watching this live, you've already done some of these things, but if you're watching the recording, this is all great. Finding a distraction-free room to listen in. We'll help you absorb all the information. Let family members know you'll be busy for the next next hour. Sharing your takeaways on social media. Give us a tag, Modern Dog Trainer, myself, Megan Wallace, Ines, and put your dogs in a crate or, you know, somewhere where they aren't going to be pestering you. Give them a last potty break. As you guys will see in a little bit, I have a 9-week-old puppy at my house, so I had to do some arranging before we started, and he's being very good and quiet, so hopefully he'll stay that way. And take this time to focus on you. This is all about your improvement as a business owner and as a human being. So today or tonight, we're going to be talking about the following things. 5 things that your clients need from you. And this applies whether you're doing in person, online, but I think that online communication, it kind of highlights these things a little bit more because we don't necessarily have that in-person connection that we can use. Making virtual communication less scary. Always when we have a little bit of a game plan, things are a little less scary, so I hope to bring that to you. And how effective communication will give you more success in your business. You know, that's, of course, we all want to be better humans, but we also need to make money. And especially in a time where business is a little bit, you know, there's just a lot of unknowns in terms of what's going to happen next. But I do think that it's pretty clear that we're going to need to learn how to communicate virtually more effectively going forward. So don't let this be you. You know, your clients are keeping you up at night. You're not moving forward because you just don't feel comfortable presenting yourself online, as I said, either in videos or on social media, any of those sorts of things. You're blaming clients for things that are actually your responsibility to solve. And I think that's a really important one that we very quickly will kind of default to, it's the client's fault. But a lot of times we can just communicate in a way that actually gets things done. And, you know, your clients aren't fully engaged in the process. That's not going to help anyone, not going to be beneficial. So effective communication leads us to clients who listen, respect you, want to do what you've advised. They can't wait to work with you. They're excited to schedule their next appointment. They are, you know, engaged with you during your lessons. You get faster behavior change in your clients' dogs because if the client is more able to communicate, you know, if you're able to communicate with the client, then they are able to then communicate with their dog more easily, which is what we're trying to teach them to do. More job satisfaction. Like I said, don't let your clients keep you up at night. And great testimonials and referrals. People are excited to talk about you. They're telling everyone in their community about you, and that comes from enjoying you as a person. It's not just about you know, what the service you provide. That connection is really important to those referrals. So keep in mind through all of this, this is a process. Like I said, it takes practice in order to be more effective as a communicator. You will make mistakes. I make mistakes, but I learn from them, and I want to teach you guys to learn from them too. So it's not about being perfect all the time. It is about trying to take the feedback that you get from your clients and turn that into something more productive. So a little bit about me. I'm Megan, and I am obsessed with dogs, have been since I was tiny. My first word was dog, no joke. And started training my family dogs at around 10 years old. And that just turned into a total obsession. I have had my own dog training business for about 7 years now, Dogs Deciphered. I built that up from the bottom, and that was quite the process, as all of you guys know who have done that. And I am certified as a CPDT. I'm a certified nosework instructor, and most recently a certified control and leash instructor. I got my bachelor's in biology from Colorado State University, and I really, really do love my clients. I find human interaction fascinating. I get excited when I have a more difficult client because to me, that's that same kind of puzzle as when we have a difficult dog that we're trying to solve. Here are my coworkers, my 3 lovely adult dogs, Lucy, Fox, and Mia. And I couldn't pick just one picture. This is my newest coworker, Han Solo. As you can see, he's a pretty cute little chap. So let's get started. It really makes me sad to hear about trainers who are frustrated with their clients, who feel that their clients don't care or aren't complying. I really don't think that's true in almost every case. Trainers who get stressed out by their clients, and trainers who are afraid to move online. All of these things are things that I have seen throughout various Facebook groups that I'm involved in, professional organizations. All of these things come up fairly frequently, and it really, I don't like to hear those things. So this is a picture of me with one of our educational ambassadors, a Western Screech Owl at the Raptor Rehabilitation Center where I volunteer. And I just love that picture, so I had to include it. So today I want you to learn how client communication can affect your ability to work effectively, how to feel confident in your communications with your clients, especially online, and how to make your services more valuable through using effective communication. I'm hoping that you will learn to find the joy in your clients. That is the title of the blog post that I wrote for Inez. And I think it's something that we always should be striving for. And that effective communication equals efficient learning. Efficient training, learning too. How to increase client compliance and how to feel confident online. This is one of my favorite quotes, and every time I read it, it just makes me stop and think. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. And I think this happens with dogs even, pretty frequently. It happens with humans more frequently. And it's just something that we really need to always consider, that sometimes we believe we've communicated something that we haven't actually communicated. Here are the 5 things that your clients need from you. The first one is acknowledgement. Most people don't contact a trainer until something bad has happened. Their dog has gotten out again, their dogs have gotten in another fight, and they're not at their best. And they really want to hear validation that what they're experiencing is as difficult as it feels to them. No one wants to hear just straight off, oh no, that's totally normal dog behavior, just get over it, right? They want to hear even just that little acknowledgement of, oh wow, that sounds like it's really tough to deal with. I'm sorry that you're going through that. Those sorts of things are really important right from the get-go, because they have to be heard, feel heard in order to be able to trust you. And if they don't trust you, they aren't able to open up the lines of communication that we really need to actually make significant behavior change in their dog. So they're not necessarily working off, they don't have the same mindset as you. And you need to make sure to acknowledge that. Authenticity. My favorite mentor used to always say, let them see you be human. And I think that is so, so important. Be yourself. People are going to hire you because they like you for who you are, not because you sound just like everyone else and you sound like you're reading off of a script. That isn't what people want. They want to get to know you, they want to know that you can help them, and they want to feel that trust in you. So sometimes this may come in the form of telling your bad dog stories, right? Oh my gosh, I have a dog who is the worst counter surfer and we're always having to work on it, right? They want to hear that other people are going through the same thing as them, and to hear that a professional goes through this too really goes a long way to helping them feel like they're not just failing and that they'll never be able to solve this. So they want to hire, you for who you are, so be yourself. Also, this comes down to admitting when you've made mistakes. I've never had someone attack me or get upset with me because I said, you know, I did forget to send that email. I am so sorry. I will send it now, versus making a bunch of excuses that end up sounding disingenuous. That's not ever my goal when I'm interacting with my clients. Compassion. This is a really important one too. Developing empathy for your clients' experiences is vital. You have to remember that what they're going through probably isn't what they were picturing when they got a dog, especially if you're dealing with more serious behavior problems. No one goes out and says, I want the bitiest dog out there, or the one that escapes fences, right? They had a different picture in their mind, and you just need to be understanding of that. And really, I think a lot of times, even just in our words that we use online, you know, if you say something like, pet owners never give their dogs enough stimulation. Well, how would that make you feel if you saw that online and you were a pet owner? Not very good, right? And so you can reframe that as, you know, I understand that pet owners struggle to give their dogs enough stimulation during their busy lives. And so I'm hoping to find ways to help you to give your dog the stimulation that it needs, right? You're just reframing it so that you are coming at it from a more compassionate approach. And then we have connection. So as I mentioned, I volunteer at a Raptor Rehabilitation Center, and before the COVID-19 stuff happened, I had trained to do programs for schools and different places to teach people about raptors. And the way that I was trained to do that was through an art called interpretation. And it is a communication form that aims to kind of connect emotional and intellectual connections with a specific resource. So this is used in national parks, museums, zoos, wildlife educators, to connect people with a specific resource. So if someone was giving an interpretation talk at Yellowstone National Park, they would be talking about trying to draw the audience into how they can connect with the park so that they would want to protect it and take care of it. I think this has a huge application to us as dog trainers, because we want to do just that. We want to develop an understanding and a curiosity about what I consider the resource, which is the dog. And so in this case, we are trying to connect the needs of the dog that we know about to the owner's interests and what they have going on in their world. And so there's some really neat things that we learn about in interpretation in terms of how to make those connections. And it was just something that I really immediately hit that connection of, no pun intended, this applies to us as dog trainers as well. So we wanted to cultivate that curiosity. There's some really interesting research that shows that if the brain focuses too much on us versus them sort of distinctions, and I think a good example of this is pet owners versus dog trainers or dog people, the more your brain will start to focus on the differences and see them as problematic or frustrating. So the way our brain is actually wired, the more we focus on those differences, the worse they get. So we really want to strive to find that connection with our clients. And I like to say expectations are life. This is something that I was actually really introduced to when I became a canine nosework instructor. And interestingly enough, they talk a lot about expectations and how we use it in our training with both our clients and our dogs. And it really just expanded into my total world. So the first thing you have to do is manage your own expectations. If you don't know what you need and what you expect out of your clients, you're not going to be able to communicate effectively to what their needs are. Then managing those client expectations is just going to make you a better trainer. This is something that Ines has talked about for a long time, and that I think is so important, is that we need to set expectations about what will be needed to see an improvement in their dog, how often they should practice, how they should get in contact with you, setting boundaries, what you will be doing to help change their dog's behavior. You don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but just kind of a basic overall plan that helping them manage their expectations of what is going to happen during this training process is really, really key. All right, so now we're going to move forward into making virtual communication less scary. So, some of the different aspects of virtual communication we're going to look at: nonverbal communication, body language, that sort of thing. We know a whole lot about it in dogs, but do we study it in humans? Setting clear expectations. As I said, expectations are life. Having a purpose for every tool that you use, over communicating and the importance of that, and how is virtual communication different from in-person communication? And you can see my dog Lucy saying, I have no idea what I'm doing online. All right, so nonverbal communication, like I said, this is our body language. There is a really helpful acronym that I think is good to keep in mind that is called SLAMP. And this stands for sit up, lean forward, ask questions, nod with interest, and track the speaker. So these are all things that you can do to let someone know that you're listening to them. And as you can see in the picture, I think we can kind of tell from the picture that they're engaged in a nice conversation. And you do see some of these body language. We don't know if they're asking questions, but I would assume so. And other aspects of nonverbal communication, I think a lot of times we know these things, but then we get into our own heads about doing them in a virtual setting, right? And part of that is the permanence of it. We feel like, oh my gosh, I'm being recorded. Everyone's going to be able to watch that weird thing I did with my hand over and over. No one's going to do that, but our brains think we might. They might. But other things that I just want to kind of bring out are things like silence, right? I can't tell you how many times I've been talking to a client about a problem that they're having, and they talk and then they stop, and you feel that urge to fill in the gap, but you don't say anything for a moment, and then they come forward with the most vital piece of information. So don't be afraid to have those little moments of silence where you wait and listen to hear what they have to say, because sometimes people are gathering their thoughts, and if you just steamroll right into your conversation, you're going to miss those vital points. Mirroring body language is something that, you know, many body language experts recommend, but I think that that's something that, you know, it's good to kind of think about. And also your enthusiasm. I think this is something that can get lost a little bit on a platform like Zoom or doing videos online, that sort of thing. But I think it's really important to still bring that enthusiasm to what you're talking about, even if you're a little bit uncertain of the technology or you're not sure if they're getting it. The more passion you bring to it, the more they'll want to listen to you. Setting clear expectations is, again, something that's going to be very important. We're always going to start with our own expectations. What do we expect to happen during this virtual session? What do we expect to happen when we're making this video? Make sure your written instructions are clear. I try to read over all of my handouts and that sort of thing every once in a while, just to make sure that it's still exactly what I'm wanting to say. And if I ever get feedback from a client that they're a little bit confused on the wording or something like that, I take that into account, and whether or not that's exactly what I wanted to say. You can have someone else read over it, maybe a non-dog trainer person and a family member, something like that, to help you get an idea of what it sounds like to a lay person. Restate your expectations frequently. And it's very important to do this in a number of different platforms, or not platforms, I'm thinking all about online stuff now, but in a number of different ways. So email, have a contract that has those expectations written out, verbalize those expectations. And I think this is even more important when we're doing things virtually, because it's easy to, you know, for them to just skim through an email and say, oh, I don't need to really read that. So going over those things verbally, I think, is very important, because people are distracted. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but we want to make sure that we're getting through to people. and expect technical difficulties. It's really rare that, I wouldn't say it's rare that everything goes perfectly, but it is not uncommon for things to go wrong. So if you just come into it with an expectation that there could be technical difficulties, then if there aren't, great. You feel good about it, right? But if there are, you don't freak out. So I think that's really important. And you may even, you want to set your expectation in your mind of what will you do if things go wrong. And we will talk a little bit more about that. Having a purpose for every tool is very important. Don't use multiple platforms needlessly. And I say this as a little bit of a lesson that I had to learn myself. When COVID-19 hit, I was kind of scrambling to get online, and I wanted to try out some different platforms. So I put a couple of classes on one thing and a couple of classes on another thing, and then was using email to contact people. And it was just, it's a lot for me to handle. Luckily, in my situation, each individual client only had one platform to deal with. You certainly don't want them to have to deal with a bunch of different programs, download this app, that sort of thing. But it made it more complicated for me. Keep your processes consistent. So your clients should always know what to expect when they log on. The great thing is that a lot of people are getting much better at Zoom. So but keeping that consistency, I think, is important. Certainly don't, switch to something new with with a client you're already working with. Say, okay, we're going to work on Zoom, but now Facebook came out with this cool thing, so we're going to try that. Be consistent for them. It's going to make their whole experience much better. Know the limitations of your platforms. So know what it can do and what it can't do. That way you're not surprised or frustrated. And your goal is always to simplify things as much as possible for your clients. And like I said, really for yourself. If you're using multiple platforms, trying all sorts of different tools out, you may be on the search for the perfect thing, but the perfect thing might not exist. So keep it simple, find something that works for you, even if it's not perfect, and go with it. Over communicating is really important. People are forgetful. There is a global pandemic going on, and there's research that shows that people are even more forgetful when they're going through something like this because of the stress, the stresses that they're dealing with work, kids, life, everything. Some people have a hard time processing information virtually. Some people will categorize this in terms of age range, but I don't find that to be the case, actually. I have an almost 90-year-old student who figured out my online scheduling software faster than anyone else. She was the first one to sign up for classes. So it isn't all about age. It is really, I think, how that person's brain works and how much effort they've put into learning various virtual communication tools, that sort of thing. But just recognize that it is hard for some people to process that information when they're getting it virtually. Don't assume people understand anything. When we're demoing in person, often we do things with our bodies that they can mimic, and we don't necessarily have to explain it, but that's not going to happen online. So how to hold your leash, which hand to hold the treats in, which way should I be standing? In one of my handouts that's talking about door manners, I specify stand with your back to the hinges, because I found that if you do it the opposite way, it's really hard mechanically, and it's easier to do when your back's to the hinges. So just tell them that. Figure out exactly what it is you do that makes things easier for you, and make sure that you're communicating that to your clients. Technical problems can block communication. People can get frustrated if things aren't working, and they can kind of shut down. Even if you figure out the technical problems, if they get a little bit frustrated about it, you want to make sure that you're kind of over communicating the things that you want them to know, and probably breaking it down into much simpler bits than you might if you were just explaining it to someone in person, because those little bits of information are going to filter in a little bit better than a whole lecture on, whatever topic it is that you're talking about. And then we'll talk about what's the difference. So a couple of differences that I have noticed. Eye contact is kind of weird on these webcams. If you're doing it on your phone, the thing is it's weird for everyone, and I don't think anyone's judging you for it. So it is hard to decide where you look. If you're in a meeting with someone else and you're watching their screen, it may look different to them. Just don't worry about it. It is different. Be aware of it, but don't let it get into your mind, because I would say be aware that it doesn't actually matter that much, but we think it does. I've heard a lot of discussion about it. Oops, sorry, I clicked on that before I meant to, but so time can be a little bit different in terms of how effectively we can get stuff done. I've talked to a lot of trainers and have found myself that shorter sessions on Zoom can be just as effective as like a full 1 hour session. So doing like a 30 or 45-minute session, and especially because people are having some trouble taking in all of this information, smaller bits of information I think are always better. So not overwhelming them with too much. And then focus. It's easy to get distracted by things that are going around when you're just watching a screen. And so just be aware that your clients may not be as focused. And again, that's an expectation that you can set. Ask them to reduce distractions. Ask them to turn off the TV. It's not something that you might think about, and especially if you're not in their house looking at their TV. But if it's on mute and it's on the news and there's a scroll going across, they're gonna get distracted by it. So really think about that. Now, what is the same? Your voice and your appearance are the same online as they are in person. And it sounds silly, we know this, but all of our voices sound weird to us. But I will tell you that what your voice sounds like on a recording is what your voice sounds like to everyone else. It's just how it comes back into our ears. We have a different version of our voice in our head. That's okay. Everyone else has already been listening to you the way you sound. Your appearance is the same way. Again, just because it's, maybe recorded or it may be viewed by more people does not mean that your appearance has changed in any way or that people are paying attention to that, because the other thing that hasn't changed is your skills and your knowledge. You know how to help these people. You are able to help them. You just have to do it in a different format. So remember that your skills and your knowledge have not changed at all, and you can still help people. So the number one takeaway I want you guys to have from this is that your ability to communicate effectively can influence potential clients and the services that you offer them. So my question is, do you want to learn to improve your communication so that you can increase your value and make your business more successful? I think most of us do, right? So here's a choice that you can make. Choice one, you keep on doing what you're doing, and maybe it's working okay for you, maybe not. Maybe you're feeling frustrated with clients for not listening, not getting enough clients to meet your financial needs, not improving the value of your services. And burnout is extremely common in dog trainers. And I think that has to do with our client interactions and how we feel about our clients. And so here's another choice that you can make to improve your communication skills, improve your work life, increasing your value in your services by communicating confidently for better results, relationships, and revenue. So I do want to give you guys a little look at this program because I'm super excited about it. I've spent a lot of time putting it together and continue to develop it. So I want to give you guys a look at it. So this is the program that I've put together with Ines, is Communicate Confidently for Better Results, Relationships, and Returns. We will have, there are 4 parts to it. We will do some self-analysis to determine where you are now and where you want to be as a communicator. Improving your listening skills. So listening skills are fundamental to communication. There's actually research that shows that it is highly correlated with other communication skills. If you are a good listener, you will be better at communicating all around. And you want to be able to listen to what your clients are actually saying to you. How to respond to your clients well. We'll discuss how to effectively and efficiently respond to your clients so you're not wasting all of your time trying to formulate those perfect emails with the perfect words. And of course, because it's very relevant now and will be into the future, remote communication, building up your confidence so that you are an effective coach online, and how to increase that confidence to train effectively and when you're training virtually. So what will you guys get out of all of this if you choose to join us? Master communication so that your clients love you, they never ask for refunds, and they can't stop talking about you to your friends. The reason they don't ask for refunds is because they care about you and they like you, and that's really important, especially in a situation like we've been going through. You will learn how to articulate your recommendations, how to respond to your clients, especially when they have those kind of difficult questions and they're struggling and they're frustrated, how to communicate to give your clients a better experience so that they enjoy training, how to build a safe space for your clients so that they can share with you physical or emotional challenges that they're having in managing their dog. They need to feel safe to be able to connect with you in that way. And how to be more confident in your instruction and expertise. We'll talk about communicating online, being more effective in virtual lessons and in email, even over the phone, how to handle challenging clients so that you can have better successes with them and bring yourself more business. People love talking about those tough cases. How to build deeper connections to your human clients, communicate to improve your reputation, which is really key, especially when you're talking about online training. How to communicate so that you get better results and better compliance from your clients. How to generate those referrals and communicate your expectations of what you want from your clients. And there's really so much in this that it's hard to even describe what you will be able to get out of this program. It is a completely unique and original program. This is not something that I just cut and paste from someone else's online communication program. This all comes from personal experience. I sat down and said, what do dog trainers need to do to better communicate with their clients? Everything else that's been added to it is really just supplemental things that I found that I think will help to get those points across. But it really does all come from my personal experience. Your clients will appreciate when you're a great communicator. That's extremely important to them. You'll stand out from other trainers. A lot of trainers struggle with this. And, you know, a lot of people say, I got into dog training because I don't like dealing with people. I like dealing with dogs. Well, I'm sorry to say, but dogs don't have checkbooks, right? So if you want to make a living at this, you have to connect with the people. You're able to charge more because your services are more valuable. You're providing a superior experience, and you're able to find those ideal clients to work with. Your clients will be happier because they not only have gained a dog trainer, but a friend and a mentor. I can't tell you guys how many wonderful friends and people in my circle that I have found amongst my clients that have really become close personal friends. And you'll get more referrals because your clients will brag about how well you're doing and how well their dogs are doing. So here's the details of the program. It will be 4 weeks long, and we will have a weekly 1-hour group coaching call with me. It'll be a combination of lecture and Q&A. You will have access to the PDFs from the slides from all of our calls, access to an online Facebook group that is private, and it'll be open for 6 weeks. Recordings and group discussions will be saved in an online course that you guys will have lifetime access to. That is huge. You will always be able to go back and refer to these things, and that's great. You'll have a ton of different templates and scripts and that sort of thing that'll all help you communicate better. It's a huge value. Weekly worksheets so you can fill in the blanks as we go along, or you can go through them afterwards to kind of refresh what we've talked about that week. Here's a testimonial from one of my good friends and former client. We've done some coaching we've done some coaching calls together. And it really just talks about how I was able to help her to connect with those clients in a way that made her feel more confident, reach more people, and feel more confident in herself, understanding to her clients. And this is really what I want to bring to all of you through this program. Here's a couple of more reviews from some of my behavior modification and nosework students. Kathy points out that I'm a people person as well as a dog person, and how important that is to her, that I was able to communicate with her and the other students in her classes, as well as, you know, the dogs. We're all pretty good at dogs. It's the people that it's really important to connect with, and you can see that through her review here. And then the bottom one here, Natalie, her dog, her little puppy Cam, I will tell you guys, is one of the toughest puppies I've ever worked with. I was really a little bit concerned that he would not be able to be successful in this new dog family. And you can see there at the bottom, she says they went from overwhelmed, frustrated puppy owners to proud, successful, and happy puppy owners. And that's what we all want, right? And it was that ability to allow them to be vulnerable and tell me what it is that they really needed, that allowed us to come up with a plan that could actually solve their problems. And I'll tell you guys that I have gotten reviews from neighbors of Natalie who have said, we want our dog to be as well behaved as Cam. And that makes me so proud, because he was a tough puppy. So there are so many awesome bonuses that come with this program. Ines has been extremely generous in what some of the extra things that she's thrown in addition to some of the stuff that I've created for you here. So she is offering a one-time only bonus call and discussion with her, specifically focused on increasing your confidence. I love every phone conversation I've ever had with Ines. She always makes me feel better, even if we're not talking about increasing confidence. So that is a huge value. There's a welcome packet template that you'll be able to customize. And I want to point out, you know, we talked about not wanting to just sound like everyone else and that you're working off of a script. All of these are very easily customizable, and anything that you need to change around that you need to make fit for you, you can do it. So this is all set up for that purpose. We've got a couple of other packets or templates, and a lesson overview template that you can fill out during your lessons. This one is super helpful. I've used this and it's great, so that you can provide notes to your clients on the spot. You don't have to spend all of this time emailing them afterwards. That's great. Follow-up email templates, so that all of those repetitive emails you can just save yourself time on, and you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. Super great value here. The bonus 5 is an onboarding process roadmap guide. This is a really great one that helps streamline how your leads become new dog training clients and how to onboard them into your programs. It's all laid out there for you, super helpful. I've got scripts for overcoming objections to things like training techniques. Why so many treats? I used a prong collar on my last dog and it worked great, right? How do we have those conversations? Some ideas for ways that we can improve our ability to communicate with people. And here I've got just another testimonial up here. This is from someone, Sally, that takes classes from me and also is a nosework instructor. And so she did some online one-on-one coaching with me. And here she says, you know, that as a student, she has observed my ability to say just enough at the right moment in order to make the point, plant that seed for change, and offer needed praise, but not overdone or insincere. And of course, I love reading that's how I come off, because that's always my goal, is to be sincere and honest, and to help people mold the things that they need in order to help their dogs and improve them, you know, their ability in a sport, in the case of nosework. And then she also says, you know, as a fellow trainer, that she was pleased when I started offering the client communication consults, and that she's benefited from my ability to kind of point out her communication blind spots in a tactful way. So again, it just helped her to be a more effective and happier instructor. And that's what I really want you guys to get out of this program. So there's a couple extra fast acting bonuses for those of you guys who are ready to just click the button now. If you order in the next 15 minutes after this webinar ends, you will also get social media response scripts, communication on social media is a little bit different than it is on like email or that sort of thing. So we want to make sure that we're tailoring it to appropriate social media responses, help you make a great impression, keep up your wonderful online reputation. And we have a couple of more fast acting bonuses. There's a feedback form questions that will help you get better feedback from your clients, which is great. Some small talk questions that allow you to connect with any client, even if you feel like you're just hitting a wall. And this one is exciting, some journaling prompts and questions to ask yourself to boost your confidence. So all of these things are all designed to make your job easier, to save you time, to increase your value as a trainer, and to boost your confidence and how you feel about all of that. So one more time, the program is called Communicate Confidently for Better Results, Relationships, and Revenue, because you will get all of those things. You are a talented trainer, you have a lot to offer, so stop holding yourself back from making the progress that you absolutely know you can. Make that decision to improve yourself and your business, and join me today in this program. It's a really great one. So again, it'll include some weekly Zoom meetings with group exercises, a private Facebook group for discussion and questions, a workbook of exercises and information that you will have for your lifetime, as well as those recordings for the lifetime. All of these great bonuses that we've talked about, including that call with an S, which is, like I said, guys, invaluable. And the templates, the onboarding roadmap guide, all of those cool fast acting bonuses for those of you guys who are ready with your ready and waiting. The value of all of this put together really is, you know, over $2,900. And we are offering this to you guys at just 10% of that. So for $297, you get the 4-week class, all sorts of support in between, and all of that information that you can save going forward into the future. So if you are ready to sign up, go to www.moderndogbusiness.com/connect. There are only 20 spots available in this program, and it's not something that's going to run all the time. So don't, you know, just say, oh, I'll wait for the next one. We don't know when that'll be. Life's got a lot going on. Life's busy, right? So the registration for the registration deadline is June 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. Mountain Time. And once you go to that page, you will be taken to this page, and you'll click Reserve My Spot, and then you'll enter all of your information. Super easy. Go to moderndogbusiness.com/connect. And again, only 20 spots available. So remember, this will take practice, but it is worth the time that it takes. It will make your work life better, your personal life better, and you will get better results, happier clients, and more referrals, which is something we all need. So there's the website once again, and I managed to keep it not too over time, so I've got some time to answer some questions for you guys. So I'm going to open up the chat box and see. Okay. Anyone have any questions about the stuff that we've talked about here today? Tonight, I'm really excited to see you guys in our group training sessions. I think it's going to be just an amazing program, and I'm really excited to present it to you guys. And so thanks for coming tonight, and I look forward to seeing you online in the future. Have a great night.